All right, welcome everyone. I'm here with Clay. And so, Clay, since we started working together, you've done around about 33K in profit, right? You told me?
Yeah, 33K profit, right around 150K across the accounts that I'm running right now in GMB.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Love to hear it.
Yeah.
So, introduce yourself, kind of where you come from, and even how you got into TikTok Shop in the first place.
Yeah, so I'm I'm one of the drop shippers that got funneled in after we found out that drop shipping wasn't going to cut it anymore in 2024, 2025. So I was doing drop shipping, I was doing a bunch of e-commerce stuff. Basically realized that like if you wanted to do TikTok Shop, like you just needed to have like get really good at one sliver of drop shipping, the skill set there, and just like double down on that. So I was like, well, let me just see what I can do, as far as TikTok Shop goes with the skill set that I had from drop shipping. So like I just
Mhm.
switched over and I sucked at it for a while. And then I was not good at videos. I started with live streaming actually. So like I had my first like couple good months live streaming to like basically treat that as like my 9 to 5 until I got good with videos. Had some good videos, do well in January, slowed down. Then I was like, I need some help to get these videos back pumping again. And after a few months of just like trying on my own, kind of floundering around with different strategies, I saw your videos and I was like, let me just reach out to this guy and see what his strategy is all about. So hopped back in with you, and then like I said, or like you just mentioned, I had the pretty much like the last 3 months on average, I've averaged like 11,000 in commissions, which is great, and the GMB has been somewhere around like 150K, which is pretty crazy.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and so I know because you've already said, but you had some success before, like because you hit a 10K month before, right?
Yeah. I mean, that January before I met you, I had like I think it was 16K.
Okay. And so, like, what was going through your head? Because, I know you dropped down a significant bit between that month and when we started working together. Like, what was going through your head? Like, was it luck? Like, walk me through what you were
Oh yeah,
thinking.
yeah,
Sure.
for sure. It was like, shit, can I do this again? Like, was it luck? But basically, yeah. So I the 80/20 thing where I was like, 80/20, looking any product I tested, I was looking, all right, what are the other viral videos? Let me kind of like replicate those with my own twist. But I was testing a ton of different products. At the time, I was like getting a ton of samples, trying a bunch of different things, and there was no like real system of, I feel like, checks and balances to like what I was doing. It was just kind of like throwing shit at the wall and hoping something stuck. And I wasn't getting that like granular with things, I guess, now that I'm looking back. And so I think that was part of the issue, was just like thinking I was testing something, but not really even testing it that well. And yeah, it was just like, dude, I was just fucking burnt. I was posting a lot of videos. I was trying to do a lot of the conspiracy style videos as well, and those take a really long time to make. So I was just like getting spent on that as well. But yeah, and I started doing live streams again. I didn't really want to do live streams. Like I've done those like 8 hour live streams before, and like those can be super exciting. But it's like if you can avoid that, like for sure, videos is the way to go. So I was like, I just felt like I needed to invest in that skill set so I could get back on the video side of TikTok instead of the
These
grinding out.
these past couple months, it has been like zero live streaming, right? You haven't gone live at all, have you?
Yeah, no live streams, none, which is great. That's like huge.
They're good money, but it can be brutal. I remember like when I was doing them, I stopped in November. It's like your voice just hurts. You're like you feel dumber after doing a live
Oh,
stream.
it's brutal, bro. And you have to filter, like, I mean, there's so many things you have to juggle at the same time, and you're exhausted, and it'll wipe you out. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely done back in December, like Black Friday, I was doing a lot with like Neurogum, but
Yeah.
I would do like 8 hour live streams. Just I would wake up at 4 a.m. and run it until till noon, until their like official live stream kicked in, because I didn't want to compete with their like paid traffic for live streams,
Yeah.
but hitting some big commissions. But I was just like, bro, this is not where I want to be. So
And I know when you were previously doing, I kind of call it like the hope and pray method, just promoting products. What was your initial thoughts? Because I mean, obviously, what I talk about, what everybody does, what you do now, is vastly different than what you were doing. Like, so initially, were you bought in, or were you like, I don't really know about this? Like, because I know for a lot of people who have had success before, they have a difficult time. Dropping the ego isn't the right word, but being willing to adapt and try something vastly different than what you were doing.
honestly, for me, I was like, so I think I kind of got lucky in January, just like right product, right time. So for me, like I caught a wave that like I don't think fully matched like my skill set, if that makes sense, at the time. And so I kept trying to do what I did in January for the rest of January, February, and March, and really got nowhere. And so I was like, okay. By the time I was like willing to invest in like a program or mentorship, I was like, all right, I'm pretty ready to try what anyone who's done better than me has to say. So I was definitely down for that. It was different than what I'd been doing before. So I was like, we'll see what happens. I remember
Yeah.
you told me something like you should make. I think I was making like $50 a day at that point, and you're like, bro, if you do this by the end of the month, you easily hit 10K, and like I hit 13. I was like, and I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 days already into the month. You know what I mean? So it wasn't even like a full month. And I was just like, fuck this guy. I don't know what he's talking about, but see what happens. Like,
It's fun. I have heard that so many times, like because you do this for long enough, and I'm sure you can kind of see it now. It's like you can almost predict what you're going to make because you're doing this strategy for so long. Like there's been so many. Danny, there's another woman that I just messaged the other day. I was like, she hit her first $300 day. I can see it. It's like I know your first 10K month is coming. So in terms of just being able to predict what you can make, in terms of like confidence, like are you overall just feeling like because I think you were telling me you went on vacation or whatever for like a week or two and still doing those numbers.
Yeah. I mean, a couple things too. I will say, like, so June I did take off like 2 weeks pretty much and still had an 11K month, which was awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Especially if you told me I would be able to do that like a year ago when I quit my job and was making no money on TikTok, that was like going to be my reality in June. I would have been sick. I would have been super excited. But also, I think the other question you asked was like, did I think it was going to work when I like first heard your strategy? There was something I wanted to say. What was it? If it comes back to me, I'll just like pause you. But there was like a good nugget of something that I thought was like important. What was it? I don't know. Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah, all good. But now, and we were just having a conversation actually, like how is your kind of thought process around TikTok Shop, as a whole changed? Because again, I know we were literally just having this conversation. You're like, I'm just getting bored of it, and I always tell people it's like TikTok Shop should be boring. If it's not boring, it's not sustainable or consistent income.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've definitely kind of gotten tired, which it does kind of get repetitive, especially once you kind of find your lane and you're like, okay, I kind of know what works for me. And so I'm trying to get, like we talked about on our call earlier, where it's like, all right, let's just find fun in the process, I guess, where it's like I'm learning how to make more content or make it in new ways that becomes the thing that is like exciting or stimulating. But for me, it definitely had, have to look at it, I guess, bigger picture so that I can kind of frame it that way. It's like, what kind of skill set am I developing for the long term? And that's where I can find excitement, I guess. But as far as just like, a handful of videos every day on the same product, like that can be pretty draining for just about anybody. And so it's like, you have to kind of figure out new ways to frame it, which is also kind of a weird thing to say because, again, I would have been like, it's crazy. Like, it's awesome that we get to play this game for a living, you know what I mean?
Well, it's funny too because if you would have told yourself like where you're at a year ago, you'd be like, oh, I would kill for that. And now you're here and it's like, yeah, it's boring, it's easy.
100%. I was literally thinking about that yesterday. I was like, this is crazy. Like, my life is, I'd never made $10,000 on my own doing anything, you know what I mean, before TikTok Shop. And now I've done it probably 6 or 7 months out of the last 12, which is like awesome. But after a while, it becomes a mental game more than an intellectual game, I think, and I think that's something I'm kind of like, I'm in that phase of TikTok Shop for me, at least personally right now. It's like, okay, it's a game against my brain versus
Correct.
A game against the algorithm almost.
I know we were talking too about, kind of the blueprint for like 15 to 20K. It's like, in terms of you and where you're at, it's just doing it better. You don't even have to do more work, right? So it just becomes like, do you want to hit 20K, 30K per month? And I think that's it seems like the biggest thing that you're kind of going with now. I hate to say the word struggle. That's a very luxurious struggle to have. Yeah. Like, is that the direction that you want to go? Like, do you want to take it that far? But, at least you have the blueprint in front of you to do that.
We've talked about this multiple times, but like, in my opinion, regardless of like what business you want to go into, like understanding short form content and how to like garner attention the right way is like arguably one of the most valuable skills you can have. And so like, I feel like that's, when I think about it that way, I can make TikTok Shop fun again because I'm like, okay, this is a valuable skill that's going to be, something I can use for the next couple of decades. And so when I think about it that way, I can start cranking out the videos again. But that's just like, I guess that's the mindset I'm in now. It's like, okay, let's just get better and better and better at this so that anything I do in the future is going to benefit that.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people, that goes unnoticed is just the skill that you learn from TikTok Shop. It can translate to anything, because you're just garnering attention and you're turning views into, commission or cash or revenue generated in any way, shape, or form. Like, it is just so transferable.
Yeah, it's almost surreal too. I mean, especially if you're not used to like making money on your phone, where you're just like, you open it up and you're like, damn, I made $300 today on a video that I posted 2 weeks ago or something, But it's definitely like a weird, I feel like it's one of the first times that just like the everyday person has like a lever that they can pull like that.
Yeah.
Access to that kind of leverage without having to like invest a ton of upfront capital, which is also one of the main reasons I got involved with this in the first place. But
yeah, absolutely. And I think was it the first full month that you got into the program, we started working together, that you got back to the 10K. I think so. After that
Yeah, it
initial
was. I think it was first full month. Yeah,
yeah,
it was the first full month.
that's the coolest part of it. It's consistent.
Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Yeah, it was the first call that we had. You were like looking at my content, and you were like, the content is not necessarily like the issue. Or you were just like, you're positioning yourself in a like poorly, basically,
Yeah.
and efficiently. And so you're like making decent content, good enough content to put up those numbers, but you're not like, the strategy behind it is not allowing you to make the most out of that skill set. And so for me, the big thing from this group has been like, first and foremost, like positioning myself and understanding like a lot of it's patience too. You know what I mean? Like testing long enough to really figure out if it's going to work, but also, beyond that, once you get that down, it's like, okay, how can I get the content even better so that the revenue goes from 10K to 20K? And then I'm in that phase now, I guess. But like, I will say that was the first thing you said on one of the phone calls. You were like, dude, your content, like you've got plenty of accounts, like you can run this, but like you need a plan instead of just like testing 20, 30 products every 2 weeks, And so I think that just like narrowing the focus, which was actually really refreshing at the first time, because I was like, now I don't have to think about 30 products, I can think about 4. And now that I've been thinking about 4 products for the last 4 months, I'm like, this has also got a different challenge on the other end. But yeah, it was that first month, and yeah, I was definitely skeptical, but I was just like, I'm gonna try it because what I've been doing has not been working. So
And in terms of, because there's a ton of people out there, right? I talk to a lot of people, and whether, you've hit that 10K, anybody's hit that 10K level or not, it's like the most important metric, in my opinion. That's literally why I call the program the consistent creator formula, is like, can you do it consistently? That's the true metric. You can hit a 20K month, you can hit a 30K month, but especially for you, where it's like your full-time job, that is not an easy feeling going, oh my gosh, I went from 16 to, what was it, like 3 or 4 or something the next month?
yeah, it was 16 plus I had some bonuses from the previous month, so it was into the account was 20K that month, but I'd earned 16 that month in total. And then for the 3 following months after that, like I said, I feel like it was kind of luck, and I didn't want to do TikTok live streams at that point, so I was really trying to do videos on my own. It was 3 months back to back, pretty much between like 3 and 4K, which is still was like hitting my minimum for like what I wanted, but it was nowhere close to like capitalizing on what you can, have with TikTok Shop. So
yeah, absolutely, man. And just one final question. There's a ton of people, right? They are just not at the level of success that they want. For some people it's 5K, 10K, 15K. To the person that's sitting there watching this going, man, I am not making the money that I want, but I'm on the fence, actually implementing a strategy, what would you say to them?
oh man, I've been there. I've been there like in any number of nights and ways, and like where you can't sleep, you can't eat, that's all you're thinking about. And like I also thought it was impossible to like get where I am now. Like literally thought it was like couldn't happen. And I was just, but for whatever reason, I was just like, let me just try to take the actions that someone else has taken to get there, and do that long enough to really kind of give it a shot. And for me, like that has, taking the actions, I guess, has changed my belief faster than just like anything else. And so I guess that would be kind of my 2 cents on, I think anybody can really do it if you just kind of commit to the inputs instead of focus so much on the outputs. Because I was really like thoroughly to my core convinced that like this was probably not going to work for me, and I just kind of had to overcome that just through taking actions. I think there's an Alex Hormozy quote of some sort where he's just like, what actions would I have to take to basically make it unreasonable for me to fail, to not win, basically? And I just was like, let me just see if that can like hold true. So
awesome.
Sometimes you need a plan for sure. So
yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here and doing this again. Clay did not have to. And again, as a closing thought from my perspective, again, Clay, sometimes like we kind of talked about, where people come in, they've had success before, they have trouble. Again, ego is not quite the right word, but willing to accept something, and he took it and ran with it, and you've got the results from it already. And now it just becomes a game of, do you want to take it to 20K? We just had a conversation of the only things that you need to change to get to 20K. It's just about if you want to do it, and if you actually want to execute on that. That's the biggest difference. So but again, if you guys want to apply to work with me, get in the program, the link is going to be in the description. It's for people who are wanting to take TikTok Shop seriously and ideally be at minimum 5K per month. Again, if you have the right inputs and follow the strategy and follow the input, 5K is not difficult, 10K is not difficult, and I would argue 20K is not even that difficult. It's just you got to have the right inputs and be in the right situations, which I think Clay has done a good job of, actually putting himself in the right positions and capitalizing on all this stuff. So thank you again, Clay. Appreciate you, man. Maybe we will do an update once you hit your 20K month. All right, I will talk to you guys. See you in the next video.
appreciate it, brother.